welcome to another episode of the Cozy Cottage Crochet Podcast. My name is Hannah, and I am coming to you as always from St. Petersburg, Florida, in the United States, where I live. This is a podcast all about crochet, a little bit of sewing and knitting, and generally living the yarniest life possible. You can find me on the interwebs as the Cozy Cottage Crochet, although I am most active on Instagram. So if you have an Instagram account, come find me over there. I post at least a few times a week. And if you have any questions or inquiries specifically related to the podcast, please shoot me an email. That is the absolute best way to get a hold of me. My email address is thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. And that will ensure that I get back to you in a timely manner. Okay, I have about a billion things to tell you guys, so we had better jump right in. Before we get started, I want to say that you may notice I am in a different spot and the lighting looks a little different. That is because I have purchased a light for the podcast so that I don't necessarily have to sit in front of the kitchen window, which is the only place in the entire house where there is good lighting. And I can't really sit there if I want to record on a weekday because my husband works at home and he works in the kitchen. So it doesn't work very well. So I ordered a light. In fact, I ordered 2 lights. I did all of this research and then I ordered 2 lights on Amazon. And what you are seeing is the effect of 1 light because this one is broken. I pulled it out of the package. It wouldn't turn on. I thought maybe it was a light bulb. Now I ordered 2 of these. So I took the light bulb from the one that works and plugged it into this one. It worked for like 2 minutes and then it wouldn't work. The light bulb for this won't screw into the one that actually works. And I don't think it's just the light bulb because I tried that light bulb and it kept shutting off. So I have packaged it back up and Amazon is gonna come pick it back up for me. So hopefully next time I'll have 2 lights. The lighting may look a little weird as I try to figure this out. Currently I am trying not to be blinded because it is directly behind my phone and I don't know if you can tell, but if I'm squinting, it's because the light is really bright. And also, can I just tell you guys that these lights get really hot? Like, it is no joke. Studio lighting? Oh, no, there will be no crochet wearing in this episode. Before we jump into what I have been working on, I have some winners to announce because we have the Love Yourselfcal crochet along that just finished at the end of June. There were over 200 finished objects in the finished objects thread. There were over 300 posts in the chatter thread. That is crazy. If you are looking for inspiration, go to the Ravelry group. By the way, we do have a Ravelry group for this podcast. And there's a link for it down below. So you can just click on that and join the Ravelry group. You can be part of anything that we are doing. And I have some prizes to announce. I, in fact, have 4 prizes that are going to be physically mailed, and I have 3 pattern prizes. So I have drawn 2 prizes from Instagram, 2 prizes from the chatter thread, and 3 prizes from the finished object thread. So, very exciting. The first prize, now, these are all bags and little odds and ends. I don't have any yarn prizes this time. But 2 of these bags, and I'll show you which ones they are, came from a lovely, lovely podcast viewer named Brooke. She sent me a bunch of these bags back when we were running the Knitted Knockers knit along, and there were so many prizes for that one that I didn't end up using them all, so I had saved 2 of them for future podcast prizes. And this is one of them. It's a super cute little flamingo bag with a pink inside. And in this prize, you will also get a stitch marker. You can't tell very well because of the light, but this is a coffee mug. And this is a stitch marker from Stitching Fairy Crafts on Etsy, which I will put a link to down below. She was so generous. There's lots of these stitch marker prizes that I am sending out. And also this button that says Equal Opportunity Yarn Lover from Claudia of the Crochet Luna podcast. And it has a beautiful little T. So this is prize number 1. This is an Instagram prize. And this is going to Ambidextrous Crafter, who is Mary Grace, and I will put it down at the bottom. So you get this. Congratulations. The pattern prize for Instagram is going to be Ruthie Blue, who I believe your name is Pippa, maybe? I tried to stalk your Instagram account and find out, and that's what I came up with. So if that's not your name, I do apologize. You have won a pattern of your choice from the lovely Rosina of the Zines and Roger podcast and Zines and Roger crochet pattern fame, because she's in all the magazines, let's be honest. So I will put you in contact with her. I will send you a message on Instagram, and I just need your Ravelry name or your email address, and that way you can get a pattern prize from Rosina. Moving on to the chatter thread, I have a bag. Now this bag is one that I made. I showed it off in the sewing segment a little, maybe last podcast episode or the podcast before. Oh, you can totally see with these fancy new lights how sparkly this fabric is. And on the inside, it's pink. So I made this. It's a drawstring bag. It's sock size or maybe small shawl or mittens or something like that. And you are going to get 2 of these lovely little stitch markers. There's a little dress and a heart. And these are both from Stitching Fairy Crafts as well. And this prize is going to Layered Daisy, who is Marty from Virginia. So congratulations, Marty. I also have a pattern prize. I'm sorry if I keep looking down. I wrote all of my notes down. You'll have to forgive me. I have a pattern prize for the chatter thread as well, and the pattern also from Rosina is going to Rebel Crochet, who is Devon from the UK. So congratulations, both of you. And finally, moving on to the 3 prizes I have drawn from the finished object thread. The first one is a pattern prize. I'm so sorry, I'm gonna butcher this, but I know who you are. And you know who I am, so I'm just gonna put it on the screen and then I'm gonna say your name. I think it's Glagolik, but you're Stasia. Is it Stasia or Stasia? I don't know. I know you're from Russia and you make the most wonderful crochet garments, and you guys, she actually finished more than one, and they're in the finished object thread and they're fabulous. So you get to pick a prize from Rosina as well. I'm super excited when I saw your name pop up. I was like, oh my gosh, I know her. So congratulations. Next, I have a finished objects prize, which is the other bag that I've been saving from Brooke. And you guys, I almost kept this, but I didn't want to be selfish. So you're very lucky that I'm letting this go because it's a Betty Boop bag. It is super cute. It's red on the inside, polka dots, like how Betty Boop is that. And you will also get the stitch markers from Stitching Fairy Crafts. That is a heart, and if you can't tell, it's a wine bottle. Although I do not recommend drinking wine and crocheting because you will be able to see clearly where you started drinking, and then you're gonna have to frog things. Don't ask me how I know that. So this prize is going to, and this name made me really laugh, the Ravelry username Lolachimichanga, who is Carrie from Vermont. So congratulations, Carrie. And finally, there is one more prize who is going to, let's see, Crochetland 1993, who is Brittany from California. You have won this Notions pouch, which I sewed myself. It is the second one I sewed. If you guys remember, I showed one off on the podcast previously, and I said this is not going to be a prize because I messed up the zipper tags, and also I burnt a hole in the fabric. So this one is much better. I didn't mess up the zipper. I didn't iron a hole in the fabric. So it is lined on the inside. You can't really tell, but it's got this mint green swan fabric, and it is the perfect size. You can actually fit a crochet hook in here. I tested it. And you will also get a chocolate bar and heart stitch marker set from Stitching Fairy Crafts, and this beautiful button from Claudia, which says happiness is crochet, which isn't that the truth? So congratulations to all of the winners. If you missed your name, I'm going to put it down below. I will put everyone's Ravelry or Instagram username down in the drop down. And I will also send you all a message on Ravelry or Instagram telling you that you won. Please give me your address so that I can mail these prizes out to you. And a huge, oh, I'm so sorry. I just knocked the camera. I'm not used to this setup. If I get too close and cut my head off, I apologize. Normally I have a kitchen table keeping me away from the camera, and there's nothing. There's just space here. So we're gonna have to figure this out. But thank you so much to everyone who participated in the crochet along. What a blast. It was so much fun, even though I did not finish anything for my own crochet along, which is a tale of woe that you will hear in just a moment. So I'm just so happy, and it was such a great response I had to the message of loving yourself and making things for yourself and focusing on yourself, because sometimes we really need to do that. So I do want to say a huge thank you to all of my returning viewers, and a giant hello to anyone who is here for the first time. I don't normally start the podcast by giving away prizes, but hey, if you want to have a chance at future prizes, then keep an eye out for Cal's. I am going to take a little bit of a break for the month of July and possibly August, and then we'll start something back up in September, most likely. I'm thinking, let me know your thoughts on this. I am thinking about September Shawl Along number 2. What do you guys think about this? If you participated last year, or you didn't get a chance to participate last year and you would be interested in doing it again, let me know. I'd be happy to host another September Shawl Along. Okay. Are you guys ready for this? I have so much to show you. There's many reasons for this, and I'm honestly shocked that I have this many things to talk about because, as you may have guessed from the title of this episode, I have been on Frog Island. It's been 2 weeks since I've seen you. One of those weeks was spent pretty much frogging. Everything I crocheted, I ripped out. But I do have some finished objects to show. And the first one I am going to talk about is my Envision cardigan, which is a pattern. It is a paid-for pattern by Heidi May. This is what it looks like. It is a top-down raglan. I made it out of Lion Brand jeans yarn in the colorway Jumpsuit, which is this yarn. This is 100% acrylic. You do get 246 yards for 100 grams. I used 6.5 balls. So this is the 7th ball, and it is pretty flappy in the middle. I know that I said I wasn't sure about this. And so thank you to everyone who commented with your advice on how to fix this cardigan, because it was so bulky right here. I was just really unhappy with how it looked. And several people commented and said, that's just the way top-down raglans can look when you're making them. So do at least part of the sleeves so that you can see how it will really fit. So I said, okay, that's good advice. So I did part of the sleeve, and then I was like, well, if I'm halfway through a sleeve, I might as well just finish the whole thing. And if I hate it, I'll give it away to someone. And if I like it, then okay. It's finished. I did both of the whole sleeves, and then I threw it in the washer and the dryer, and I did not block it at all, although I still may. But look at what happened to it. It's completely better. Let me scoot back. So, as you can see, there's still some material here, but because it is acrylic and it's softened up, it no longer bothers me. It doesn't look gigantic. If I were to make this in the future, I might make the medium. This is the size that's in between the medium and the large. So it's got a little bit right here, but I don't feel like you can tell. It's got rib detail. And let me stand up so you can see the buttons. These are the buttons. There are 8 buttons. I got them at Joann's on sale for $3. So I am really happy with that. The buttons are on the wrong side because I wasn't paying attention to the pattern and I just started making the border. And then I realized that I was supposed to start on the other side. But it was too late. I was already one full round so I didn't want to rip it out, so the buttons are on the other side. Who cares? So this is what it looks like when all the buttons are done. I normally would not like that many buttons on a cardigan, but I actually think it works really well because they're spaced so close together. It keeps it from doing this. Oh, well, that didn't work. You know how it is when you have buttons and it's like too tight and then it bunches up and you can like see through to the shirt you're wearing underneath. That's what I don't want. And this does not do that at all. It hangs perfectly. I'm super happy with how it fits. It's maybe a little short still. Although it comes to right here, I would prefer that it come down just a little bit, like maybe another inch or two. But as I said, I have not blocked it. So I'm sure I could get another inch out of it, but so far I have not been bothered. And I wore this out on 4th of July because it's red. And I was wearing jeans and a white t-shirt. That was my red, white, and blue. And even though the fireworks got rained out, that is the only reason for 4th of July is the fireworks, okay? And they got rained out. But anyways, I feel like I should take back everything I said last time because I'm really, really happy with it. I used a smaller hook for this ribbing, as she calls for. I did not use a smaller hook for the bottom ribbing because, again, I was not paying attention. But I'm actually really happy with that because where it sits on my body, I don't want it to come in anymore, and it kind of hangs straight down. Right here, it just hangs. So if it was a lot tighter, I don't think I would like that at all. So, but the sleeves, though, I like the smaller ribbing. Ooh, I'm sorry, that just blew out the whole camera. I apologize. I'm sorry if you're getting blinded this episode. We'll figure it out. It may take me a few episodes to get the lighting where I would like it to be, but hopefully it will be best in the long run. The one thing I will say about this pattern is she doesn't really have any pattern notes. She doesn't tell you how it's worked. Now, you can pretty much figure out it's a top-down raglan with no problem, but when I got to the sleeves, I assumed that because you pick up stitches all the way around and then you start working, and I thought that it was turned rounds. Nowhere does it say that you work the sleeves flat while attached to the body and then you seam them up until the very end of the sleeve instructions, and then it says leave a long tail and seam up the sleeves. And when I got there, I was like, seam up the sleeves? Was I supposed to be working this flat? I had no idea. So I actually worked these sleeves entirely in turned rounds, which keeps it in pattern so you can see it looks exactly the same as the body of the sweater. So it really didn't matter that I worked them in turned rounds instead of seaming it. It's fine. I would prefer to do that instead of seaming because seaming is annoying. But I just feel like maybe she should have mentioned that at the beginning of the sleeve section or at the beginning of the pattern. Just give me some idea of how I'm supposed to work this so that I can, if I don't want to follow the pattern, of course I don't have to, but I like to be told. At least give me something. So I don't know. I do recommend this pattern, I think, even after all of the drama. I'm really, really happy with it. It is not as thick as my everyday cardigan, which I made in black. It's by Sorella. I made that one out of, what was it? Deborah Norville Everyday yarn. That cardigan is so thick, and I really feel like I can only wear it in the winter time because it's so heavy. This one is thinner. Not much, but like just enough to where I was actually wearing it on the 4th of July, and I wasn't dying. And it was fairly hot on the 4th of July. So, I recommend the Lion Brand jeans yarn. It is a little bit fuzzy, as you can see that halo. I cannot attest to how well it holds up yet because I've only worn this once. It's only gone through the washing machine once. I don't know if it's gonna pill or look weird. For example, my Lion Brand Heartland, I made the Habitat cardigan out of that yarn in green, and it is a little pilly, and I'm not entirely happy with how it's looking, even though I've worn it probably 15 times, and it's looking pretty fuzzy. And I wish it wasn't. Although, I mean, I know it's acrylic, and I know wool is gonna fuzz up too, but like, I just feel like it's a little fuzzier than I want it to be. So this so far looks perfect. If it starts to look pretty worse for the wear after a few washes, I will let you guys know so that you can get an updated feel on this yarn. But so far, I really like it. And I'm gonna take it off because I'm really, really warm. Because it's like 90 outside. And we have a Nest thermostat, so I don't know if they have that over in Europe, but basically it's a thermostat that controls the temperature when we're not here. So in the daytime, it's set to go up to a certain degree and then start cooling down again. But I'm home today, it's Friday, I have Fridays off. And so it was like 76 degrees in here, which I know some of you are like, 76, that's wonderful. No, not to me. So this is the cardigan. And I do want to say, I've gotten quite a few questions from people who are like, how are you crocheting right now? It is so hot. Let me tell you a secret. In America, especially in the South, I can't speak for the North. I know there are still people who don't have this. And I know Claudia in California still doesn't have this. And it breaks my heart for you. I'm so sad. We have this thing called air conditioning, and it is cranked up all the way all the time. So would I be crocheting outside? No. But in the summer, I mean, it's 90 degrees outside. It's a cool 70. I keep my house at 72. I know that's cold for some people, but like, I would much rather go without anything else and keep the house cold. Like, I'll not go to Starbucks. I will not eat out. Please just let me turn the air down a couple of degrees because I can't deal with how hot it is. So air conditioning makes it possible to make sweaters in the summer. So that is finished object number 1. Look at all this stuff you can see. I'm not used to having stuff behind me that you can see in the camera. But wait, there's more. Finished object number 2. And here is where the frogging begins. I made the Slouchy Beanie by Little Pink Ribbons. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. I downloaded it and printed it. It is a knit pattern, and I made it out of a wonderful skein of Leon Alexander yarns. It is his colorway Shiver Me Timbers, which is a worsted weight yarn. It has 180 yards for 100 grams. It is 100% superwash merino. And the colorway is called Shiver Me Timbers. I got this yarn last year. He sent this to me kind of like as a review, and it was so pretty I couldn't use it. And you ever get a skein of yarn and you just know beyond a shadow of a doubt what it's going to be? I knew that this yarn was going to be a hat. It had to be a hat. There was nothing else it could have been. But I still have quite a bit left after making an entire hat. So colorway is Shiver Me Timbers. It's pink and purple. It's got blue speckling and orange and a little bit of green, and I love it. It is living in the one project bag that I kept from Brooke, which is the Where's Waldo project bag, which I love so much. It makes me happy every time I pull it out, and it's blue on the inside. I thought it was the perfect hat-sized project bag. So I knit this entire hat, pretty much. I got all the way to the decrease rounds, so maybe there was 10 rounds left, and then I decided it was terrible, and I ripped it out because the ribbing was too loose. My cast on was way too loose. So I ripped the whole thing out, and I started over, and this is what it looks like. I cannot get enough of this hat. Even though it was 90 degrees, I wore it the night that I finished. I wore it like all night. This is the ribbing. It's a really simple pattern. Basically, you just do 10 rounds of ribbing, or maybe 8 or something, and then you just do stockinette until you decrease. And it's got, I don't know how well you can see this, but the star kind of star-shaped decreases. I did mess up one of the decrease rounds because you're supposed to like decrease and then knit and then decrease and knit and decrease and knit and then decrease, decrease, decrease. But I wasn't paying attention. The theme of my life. And I did 2 knit rounds in a row. So who knows what happened with that. And something happened here. You guys see this little stitch that's sticking out? I don't know what that is. It's not a dropped stitch because it's attached to something, but it's just poking out. I've kept trying to poke it back in and it won't go. This is the inside. So you could technically wear this the other way around if you wanted to. I don't. I have washed and blocked this. Now you have to be really careful when you're washing and blocking a hat, especially made out of merino. So I just gave it a quick soak and then I laid it out. But when you put this in the water, it grows like nobody's business. You can't wring this when it's wet or it will stretch out the fabric like nobody's business. So when I pulled it out, I gently squeezed out the water and then I laid it on a blocking mat and I smushed it back together because it was like this big and like this long. It was huge and I didn't want it to dry that way. So I kind of smushed it back together. I smushed the ribbing back together as close as I could get it. And then I checked on it like an hour later and tried to tighten it up even more. And it dried perfectly. So this is what it looks like. I'm gonna do this so you can see. Hopefully I'm not like way off camera. It is warm because it's merino wool, but I am so happy with it. And I'm so happy that this yarn finally became what it was meant to be, which is a hat. And you should definitely check out Leon Alexander yarns because this is the kind of yarn that he makes all the time. Like all of his colorways are this fabulous and they're beautiful and I cannot wait. I'm going on a few trips later this year and this hat is going to go with me. So happy with it, even though I knit it twice. So that's the first thing that got frogged. There's more, don't worry. I do have one more finished object. Oh, would you guys like to know what I'm drinking? This is called Bubbly. It is sparkling water, mango. I got it at Publix, and if you don't know what Publix is, that's a grocery store that we have in the south of the United States that's the best. I am obsessed with this stuff. My husband came home with some last week, and I have no joke drank like 6 of these. I cannot stop drinking them. I don't even like sparkling water. This has no sweeteners or anything. It's literally carbonated water and mango flavor. That's it. And I cannot stop drinking. It's so good. So, moving on to my final finished object. And it's not finished because I have not weaved in the ends. But it is living in this project bag with swans on it. You may recognize this from the Notions pouch that I made. That was the leftover fabric I had after making this. It's a fabric I got at Hobby Lobby. It is arrows on the inside, swans on the outside. I was using Barocco Modern Cotton DK this is their tag. I have had this yarn maybe a year and a half. I bought this yarn in 3 colors to make a Tunisian crochet shawl from the Crochet Project Shawl Book number 3. And then I realized after I bought it that I bought DK yarn. The shawl calls for fingering weight. And normally I would have said, okay, no big deal. I'll just go till I run out of yarn. But the way that that shawl is constructed, I would have run out of yarn and it wouldn't have looked like a shawl. It would have looked ridiculous because of it starts from the longest point and goes down to a V. So I would have run out like halfway through. So I saved the 3 skeins of yarn. The colors are, this one is Matinook, I believe. It doesn't say on these things. I looked this up online. This is the color 6652. I think it's Matinook. Then this sea green. which is Salty Brine, colorway 6624. And then this gray, which is called Gadwall, colorway 6608. Now I had to order one more ball of the gray because I ran out and I knew I was gonna run out, so I ordered it like preemptively. But these are the three colors and this is how much I have left of each. I had one ball of this and I only have this tiny little bit left. I had one ball of this green. This is how much I have left, and I used 1.5 cakes or skeins of the gray, which is Gadwall. And you get 335 yards for 100 grams, so that's pretty good. This is the design. This poor yarn is all I have to say. This color, and if you follow me on Instagram, you will have known my woes. This color got frogged 4 times. 4 times. I swatched for this like 20 times. I settled on something I was happy with, and then I started. I got through about 40 grams, decided I was gonna run out of yarn way too soon, and that it wasn't gonna work as a design because it would have used like 6 skeins of yarn instead of 4, and 6 is a big commitment. So I frogged it. Then I started again, and I shaved off a bunch of stitches, and I shaved off too many. So I got about halfway through the ball and I frogged it because it was too small. It was not shawl-like at all. It was only like this wide. So then I started again, and I decided to switch up the way I was working the stitches to try it again. No, didn't like it, frogged it. And then finally I got all the way through to like 80 grams of yarn and decided, no, it wasn't working. I knew what I needed to do, but I couldn't do it, if that makes sense. The way I couldn't fix it. So I frogged it again. So that poor blue color of yarn has been frogged 4 times, and I literally, this is all I was working on the first week, and I thought it was never gonna get done. But I was having kind of a high anxiety week. I wasn't really feeling myself, so I really needed this project, and it's very repetitive, it's very easy. It's only 2 rows, and it's the same stitch each row. It's just a matter of where you put your hook. So I kept pulling it out and starting again, pulling it out and starting it again. And finally, I got it to where I wanted it, and I could move on to the second color. When I moved on to the second color last Friday, I thought about throwing a party for myself. I was like, this. So I haven't weaved the ends in yet. This actually just came off the blocking mat this morning. I had a fan on it all night so that it would dry. And this is what it is. I hope that it's showing up true to color. I think it's showing up a little lighter because of the bright light. It is basically, I'm gonna scoot all the way back. It's like a giant chevron. So it's got flat edges. So this is not a point, it's flat. And then all the way on the top is flat, and it goes down to a V in the middle. And hopefully you'll be able to see the stitch pattern. If you can see this right here, this is the stitch pattern. And I'll try to get a picture and put it on Instagram up close of the stitch pattern, because you can't really tell from far away, but all of the texture on this shawl is on this side. So if I turn this around, and this is part of why I had to swatch like 20 times, because I didn't like how it was, how the texture was switching. This is completely smooth. So this is reversible. You could wear it with the texture side out or the smooth side. And this is also worked from the bottom up. So it's not worked from the top in the tiny V and then you go out and out and out. It's worked from the bottom. I didn't like, again, swatching, I didn't like how it was looking with the chevron point. And one of the reasons I kept frogging it is because I didn't like how the V was going, because no matter how you do this, it's going to skew just slightly from one side to the other with each row because you're turning, and crochet stitches are a little bit slanted, just the way that if you were going around and around in a circle, you will eventually, if you had a stitch marker, it would skew to the one side. These skew a little bit, and I just couldn't I didn't like giant holes. I tried all kinds of different decreases, and I finally settled on one that I think looks pretty good. It still skews ever so slightly, but I feel like that looks like it's part of the pattern. It's not a hole. And you can see the texture on this part the best. And what I wanted was for it to go up, be completely going into a point. So from here, from the first row to this corner, your rows are all exactly the same length. You will have the same number of stitches all the way up. And then you start decreasing because you fill in this V, and you slowly get smaller and smaller. And if you can see, this is one of the other things I was banging my head about. I wanted it to start right here. So wherever these textured rows start, I wanted them to just start and go in. I didn't want them to go sideways. I didn't want them to slant at all. I just wanted them to go straight towards the V in the middle, if that makes sense. So I figured out how to do it, and I'm really, really happy with this. This is my next design, and I would really be interested to hear your thoughts on this because it's a pretty unique construction and it's a pretty unique shape for a shawl. I didn't really make this as a normal kind of a shawl, so I know this is not going to be everyone's cup of tea. It's not a very fast pattern to make because you're using an extended stitch, which takes longer, and you're also putting your crochet hook in a different loop than you would normally to make this textured panel that looks like knit stitches running sideways on the front. So my design for this is to kind of be worn, it's to kind of be worn over the shoulder like this, like with a little, almost like a little shawl collar. So that's kind of what it looks like. I have also, you can take these two edges and pin them back here. And I'm not gonna pin them, I'm just gonna tuck them in. And you could totally wear this like a shrug. So I am totally gonna wear it like this. So, but my design was for it to be kind of worn like this so you can see the chevron. You can wear it front-wise. You just need to arrange it a little bit. So if I put it like this, I can totally still wear it around like this, but because it doesn't come to a point on the sides, you may need a pin to hold it in place because there's some bulk right here. Now this is cotton. Did I even tell you what this yarn is made out of? I didn't, did I? Let's see. This is 60% cotton and 40% rayon. So you can totally wear it like this. I'm gonna wear it like this as well. It's just, you may need a pin to hold it in place because it's kind of bulky at the back, if you can see that. So let me know your thoughts on this. I love it. It kept me sane on a pretty rough week, which I'll talk about later. But I love the colors. I love how it came out. I love the pattern. I am so happy with this stitch pattern, and that all of the texture is on the front and there's no texture at all on the back. So if I didn't want texture, I could reverse it. But I understand this may not be everyone's cup of tea because it's not, you can't just throw it on like a normal shawl. It's not made for that. So because if you make it out of this yarn, it will stay if you put it on like this, because cotton tends to stay. And I have another shawl that I made out of this yarn. It was the Coliseum. I think it was the Coliseum or the Doppio Coliseum. That is by Faye of the Crochet Circle podcast. One of those two. It might have been the Doppio Coliseum. And that scarf shawl is the only one I own that no matter where I put it on my neck, it will stay. And it's something about the fiber, it just stays. Like, I'm doing all of this, it has not moved. So you could get this to stay with no problem. You just kind of have a lot of bulk up here. But I'm really interested to know your thoughts. I'm going to be writing up this pattern. I'm super happy with it. I love how shiny the yarn is. This yarn is not that expensive. Now, it's not $4 a ball. I have seen this yarn as cheap as $8 a ball in local yarn stores. At my local yarn store, this yarn is $10 a ball. I got the last ball of gray online at Webb's, and I believe it was $8 or $9 for one. So you could make the whole thing for $40. You could totally make this out of another yarn. You just have to bear in mind that your gauge will be different. So because this is cotton and rayon, it does not stretch. So I wet blocked this, and that's why I had a fan on it all night, because it was soaking wet when I pinned it out. Because that's really the only way to get it to stretch. But if you were using acrylic or wool or something like that, you would get the same stitch pattern. You're not going to get quite the same stitch definition, because nothing has stitch definition like cotton. But it'll be a little fuzzier. So the fuzzier the yarn, the more it will obscure the stitch pattern, and also the more stretchy it will be. So if you want this to be huge, just use the same number of stitches in a stretchy yarn. So I'm going to start writing up the pattern, but let me know your thoughts. I really would like to know what you think about this, because I love it. Hopefully you guys love it too. Like I said, I understand it's not probably going to be everyone's cup of tea, because it's not a super quick make, and it does require, I'm not going to say it requires concentration, because the pattern is actually very simple. It just requires you to look at what you're doing because you have to insert your hook in a certain spot. So, and do you know what the best thing about this is? It's not hot. Because it's cotton and rayon, again, I'm wearing this. When I had this cardigan on a few minutes ago, I was roasting. Roasting, I say. No, I'm fine. I might wear this for the rest of the day, except eventually I'm gonna have to weave these ends in. That's all the finished objects I have. I say that's all, like, this is 4 balls of yarn. And if you think about the times that I frogged the first ball of yarn, 8 balls of yarn, plus the sleeves on that, plus a ball of yarn for the hat. That is a lot in 2 weeks. Oh, I did want to say also, if you have never considered using this yarn before, I really can't recommend it enough because of the way that it held up to frogging. Like I said, this panel got frogged 4 times, and the yarn held up so well. At the very beginning of the starting chain, it was starting to come unplied a little bit by the 4th time, but the rest of the yarn, it stayed perfect the whole time. It was a joy to work with. Let's move on to works in progress, shall we? Because there's more frogging. Okay, enough of a pity party. You will recognize my, if I can find the page for you, crimson hooded cardigan. I was 2 balls in last time. Am I 2 balls in now? No. Here's 1. Here's 2. I pulled it out almost completely. Because I hadn't worked on it in a few weeks, I pulled it back out. I was going to work on it, and I was just looking at it and looking at it and thinking, you know what? This is gonna be too big. I really think this is gonna be too big. And I put it back away, and I pulled it out the next day, and I looked at it, and I'm like, this is gonna be too big. And so I did measurements. Now I got gauge for this, so it's exactly the size it's supposed to be. But I was making a large. I should be making a medium. And the reason I thought of that is because of this cardigan. Because I wasn't happy with the fit while I was making it. I am pretty happy with it now. But I was making the size in between the medium and the large. The large is 45 inches. And where I got confused is in the pattern it says something like 45 inches with like 4.5 inches of overlap. So the fronts of the cardigan are supposed to be able to overlap each other for 4.5 inches. And I assumed that 45 inches meant that didn't include the overlap. So if it was 45 inches minus 5 inches, that would only leave me 2 inches of ease. No, that's not the way the pattern is written. I should have read this more clearly. That is including the 4.5 inches of overlap, which means I would be about 7 inches too large. That is a lot. For a cardigan that's this big and this heavy, like that would have been like a sack on me. So I pulled it out. This is all I have left. I pulled it back to the starting chain and reduced the starting chain to a size medium. And then I worked 2 rows. I don't know what to say. I was so sad. Oh look, a little ladybug. But this is, like I said, this cardigan's 17 balls of yarn. Do I really want to spend all of that time working on something that's not going to fit? No. And this is a problem I've had it in my life and in my crochet, is that I assume that I am a different size than I am. And I know many of us have this problem, no matter what size we are. You could be a size 0, you could be a size 16, you could be a size 8, it doesn't matter. We look at something and think, no, that'll be too small. I should make the next size up. I don't want it to be too tight. I don't want people to see my body. And then we make the next size up and then it doesn't fit. This is not the first time this has happened in my life, okay? If you have been with me for a long time, you will remember the way too big top that turned out like an extra large. It wouldn't even stay on my shoulders. So I gifted it to someone who it fit and she loved it. So we need to be realistic about our bodies, not squeezing into things that we can't breathe in, and not wearing giant things that drown us in fabric. I need to look in the mirror and take out a measuring tape and go, okay, this is my size. What can I make that will fit me? And what I can make is the medium, not the large. So all in all, I have frogged 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 balls of yarn this week. I was on Frog Island. This was in the first week as well. I thought I was never gonna get off Frog Island, but finally when I made progress on this, I had hope. And then I finished that cardigan and I had more hope. And then I finished the knit hat and I had more hope, and so I haven't been frogging since then, thankfully. But I don't know. That red cardigan is in timeout. I don't want to look at it. I was just getting to the interesting part with the cable. Anyways, I have been working on another sweater, and you'll recognize this. It means it's my blurred line sweater. And I am almost to the part where I'm going to start striping in the gray color again. Look, it's growing. So, where is, oh, on this side. On this side, you can see, that's where I was the last time I showed it to you. So I've done 3 inches, 4 inches. I'm super happy with this. It is slow going because it's a fingering weight sweater, but I have done all of the waist shaping. So you can see right here, you go in a little bit and then you increase. And now I'm just going to be going straight down, probably for another 2 rows until I reach the right measurements. Then I'm going to start striping in the gray, and I am almost done with 1 ball of wool-like yarn, which is what I'm using for this. And then I will start striping in the gray, and then it's gray all the way to the bottom of the sweater. So I think I'm at like 7.5 inches right now, and I need to get to 13-ish, I think, before the hem starts. And I am just so happy with this. So happy. I keep trying it on because I can, because it's crochet and it's top down and it fits so well. The pattern is beautifully written. It is a pattern called the Blurred Line Sweater by Deanne of Addie Days Designs, and I just am so happy with it. So I know once the sleeves start, I'm going to be on Sleeve Island for a long time, but that's okay. maybe next time I will have it finished down to the hem. Who knows? Maybe I'll get distracted. But I have really been enjoying working on that this week. I've only been working on that for the last maybe 3 or 4 days, and I was able to get that much done. So I was pretty excited about that. I do have a finished sock. I almost forgot. Last time I was stuck on the heel halfway through. I finished it. I was right here last time. So I finished the heel, all this blue part, and then the cuff. The cuff this time I did an extra 5 rounds of stockinette before I started the cuff. I decreased by 2 stitches, and then instead of a 2x1 rib, I did a 1x1. So hopefully that will pull the cuff in a little bit. I haven't washed these or blocked them or anything. This is Knit Picks Felici in the colorway Sonoran Sunset, which is super pretty. And I started the next one. This is just the toe, and I haven't actually worked on this in quite a while. I'm going away for a couple of days for work, and I wanted something that I didn't have to think about or look at, so I got it past the toe, and now I can just go around and around in a circle. And hopefully I'll be up to the heel next time. Who knows? Maybe not. And then I did want to show you one more project. I know, there's projects coming out of my ears. Which is, now that this cardigan is done, is living in my super awesome mustard yellow and Harris tweed bag by Faye of the Crochet Circle podcast and Knit It, Hook It, Craft It, which you should check out because this bag is amazing. It is the shawl that I talked about last time, but I didn't have a picture of to show you because I need to practice my purling. This is what it looks like. It's gigantic. It's called the Transitions Shawl by Hand Knit by Cam. I looked all over the pattern and I couldn't really find her name. I'm assuming her name is Cam, but I don't know. I don't know what her actual, like, you know what I'm saying. I couldn't find it in the pattern. This is what it looks like. Basically, it's a half a hexie, and you just go back and forth, and back and forth, and back and forth, until you get like a bazillion stitches, and then you bind off. And I saw this on the Noble Character Crafts podcast, which she is mostly knitting and some sewing, but she does a little bit of crochet sometimes, mostly blankets. And I saw her version, which was like a pale, like neutral cream color, and then like mint green and pink. It was so pretty. You ever see something and you're just like, oh, I need to make that? That's how I felt. And that was a few months ago. So I had saved in my Instagram and in Ravelry just for a time like this. I actually tried to start it. This is another tale of woe. I should call this podcast episode Tales of Woe. I had some Fibra Natura Whisper Lace yarn in like purple and pink and cream, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's gonna look so good. I could just make it in that. The problem with that is it's in lace weight yarn. I got about 10 rows in and wanted to stab myself with the knitting needles. Cannot handle it, okay? So I ripped it out. That's the other thing I frogged. And I placed an order on Webs. I know I was sharing my frustrations last time about the fact that there's not a ton of good fingering weight yarn out there. So Wool-like is kind of my go-to for big box store fingering weight yarn, but they don't have a lot of colors, and it's really a light fingering weight because you get almost 700 yards per ball, and that is just too thin. I needed something thicker. It's too fiddly, and of course I can't find any. And most local yarn stores have a lot of fingering weight yarn, but it's so expensive. It's like $20 to $30 a skein. And I'm like, if I need 4 skeins for this shawl, that's $120. Nope. I mean, I would love it if that was in my budget, but no. So I went on webs.com and I placed an order for some of their Valley Yarns Charlemont. In this, it's 60% merino, 20% silk, and 20% nylon, and you get 439 yards for 100 grams. And I went completely kind of outside of my color palette because there's this green. I'm making it in greens, is what I'm saying. And light gray. And then dark gray. I'm gonna drop all of these. And then green again, but like a lighter green. Maybe I can do it like this. Isn't that pretty? It is so soft. And this yarn was only $10 a skein, which is still a lot. Like 4 of these is pretty much my yarn budget for the month, but so much more affordable than $30 a skein. So I think these are beautiful colors. I'm really excited to make this. I feel like this whip is going to be with me for years because I'm only a couple of rows in and I'm so slow. Let me show you. I don't even know if you're gonna be able to see it. That's how small the amount of progress I have is. Am I even looking? This is the front. Do you see how tiny this is? That's how much I have. Just a tiny little bit. But I'm just gonna pick it up, work on it here and there, and maybe someday I'll be able to purl, continental style, without a problem. Who knows? That's my goal anyways, because sometimes people do ask me to make them things that are knitted and I always tell them no. But if someone's asking me to make a commission for them in knitted, like that's kind of like I'm missing out on business if I can't knit it. So I'm going to do it. I'm gonna make myself learn how to purl continental. It does tend to stress me out, knitting. Like the only thing I like about knitting is going around and round in a circle in stockinette. That's the only thing I like. I don't like increasing, I don't like decreasing, I don't like lace, I don't, any of it. I don't want to have to concentrate. Knitting tends to make me really frustrated really easily, which is weird considering I learned how to knit first. Crochet never makes me frustrated. Well, I don't want to say never. I was a little irritated by the 4th time I ripped out this. But as a general rule, crochet is like my one true love. It just calms me down, it relaxes me, it's the best. So I'm going to learn how to do it. I'm gonna switch this because I'm getting a little, oh yes, it totally matches what I'm wearing, don't you think? I did want to show you, I know I showed you Crochet Luna, Claudia, she sent me some buttons for the prizes, but I also wanted to show you these. So these are her new buttons. It says Equal Opportunity Yarn Lover, Yarn Vixen, and Crochet is Happiness. I'm gonna put a link to her Etsy shop down below. She does bags, but mostly pins and buttons. These are so cute. And she also has, like, how cute is this? That's her logo with llamas. She sent me some Sasquatch stickers. And then right here, I don't know if you can see this. It's a little Sasquatch and it says Sass Squatch. These came in the mail like a week and a half ago, and I was kind of having a bad day and I opened them and it made me so happy. So thank you, Claudia, so much. It was very sweet of you. I have been hiding those in the kitchen so that I won't put them on project bags and forget to talk about them on the podcast because I wanted to start using them right away. But I didn't do it, okay? I didn't do it. I had to show them to you guys first because they're so cute. And I don't care what kind of button you want, this one is the best. Crochet is Happiness, because isn't that the truth? That should be a hashtag. Crochet is Happiness. I do have one other acquisition to show you. This is a purchase that I made. My local yarn store, Stash, a place for yarn, had their 4th anniversary party. So she's been around for 4 years now. And I went and I sat and I worked on my socks for a little while. And then something came home with me because I couldn't leave it there. Oh my gosh, this is showing up exactly true to color. And it is Interstellar by Fiberseed. Fiberseed is a local dyer to me. She lives in Tampa, so like half an hour from me. This yarn was dyed. You can get this yarn if you go on to Stash St. Pete, their website. You can order this yarn online and they'll ship it to you. So she dyes some exclusive colorways for the yarn store. This was not one of them, but oh, I mean, it's so pretty. And this is, I believe it's 75-25. Oh no, that's wrong. It's 90% merino, 10% nylon. And this is a big skein. So this is 100 and, it doesn't say. I don't know, oh yes it does. It's 136 grams. So you get 510 yards. That is not enough to make a shawl, for sure. And I don't know what I'm gonna do with this, but oh, it's just so pretty. So I recommend this yarn. You totally should get it. Go on Stash St. Pete and check it out. I'm not like being paid to say that. I just happen to think that yarn is fabulous. So that is all the yarny goodness that I have to share. So if you would like a little bit of a life update, stay tuned. I'm gonna keep this short because I'm already at an hour. How did that happen? I thought I didn't have much to talk about today, but just keep going and going. It's been 2 weeks, obviously, since the last time I talked to you. And it's been kind of a rough 2 weeks. I have not really been feeling like myself very much. I don't know if you can tell. Hopefully not. I am trying to be very excited for this podcast. But for example, I got up this morning, I worked a little bit, and then I took a nap because I didn't quite have the energy to start recording and being excited. I've just been dealing kind of with a lot of anxiety. I haven't been sleeping. For the first week, I was like, I don't know what's going on. It's probably just hormones. It'll be fine. But the second week, I woke up and I was like, okay, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem because it's not going away. And I know the signs. I know what to look for. This is part of my life. I've talked about this openly before on the podcast. Anxiety is something that I deal with now in my life, and I know all of the coping mechanisms. I know what to do. One of the biggest signs for me is that I just want to sleep all the time. Like, I don't want to get out of bed. I only want to just get up, go to the bathroom, eat something, and go back to sleep. I want to go to bed at like 8 p.m. because I just can't deal. So I knew, and I know, that that's not healthy. So this is why this is done. This is what kept me sane over the first week especially, because I crocheted this and ripped it out and crocheted it and ripped it out and crocheted it and ripped it out. And I literally on Friday night, 1 week ago, Friday night, I spent, 6 hours crocheting, and Saturday all day, pretty much, except when we went out, I spent the whole day crocheting, and Sunday after church, I spent the whole afternoon crocheting, which is why those sleeves are done on the cardigan. I crocheted until my fingers went numb. That's not very healthy. You should take stretch breaks. Don't follow my example. But normally I would not crochet that many hours. But that's what was keeping me calm, because I could not deal. And I know why. There's just a specific situation in my life that gives me a lot of anxiety currently, and I needed something positive to focus on. And this is why crochet and knitting and crafting is so important, and why I'm always harping on this, because it doesn't matter how bad your day is. At the end of a horrible, no good, messed up, very bad day, you can create something beautiful. You can come out with this and say, even when I felt awful, even when I didn't want to talk to anyone, even when I didn't want to be around people, and I felt like a lump and I was useless and I was panicking, look at what I made. Look at this beautiful thing that I created. And that is so powerful, to be able to look at something and be like, oh yeah, I made that. And it's beautiful. and I was still able to be productive. So, like I said, this morning I got up, I worked some, and then I took a nap for like an hour because I just couldn't. I needed a reset emotionally, and hopefully, we're on the upswing. I'm feeling a little better. We had a great July 4th. We went out and we went to a soccer game. There's a soccer team in St. Petersburg called the Rowdies. It's so much fun. So we got through most of the game, and then it stormed like crazy, and they canceled it for lightning, which means they canceled the fireworks. But then we went to a British pub. Why on 4th of July? I don't know. But we had some food, and it was delicious. And then we ended up home at like midnight, which is way later than I normally stay up. But it was a fabulous 4th of July. And then yesterday, Thursday, normally I work on Thursdays, but our boss gave us the day off because he just wanted to. So I slept in and I went to Starbucks, and I couldn't take the whole day off because I did still have some work to do. I wasn't prepared to take 2 days off in 1 week, but I didn't have to go into Tampa. I went to Starbucks, had a delicious beverage, and some lemon cake. Oh, have you guys had their lemon cake? So good. I mean, if you want a sugar high, that is. It's so good. And now today I'm talking to you. So the next couple of weeks are going to be just as crazy. It's Friday right now. This episode's going to go up tomorrow morning. Hopefully, if I can get it edited. I hope that when I look at this, it doesn't look insane because I can't really see myself. I am looking at the camera lens, which is not the screen on my phone. I hope that the lighting doesn't make this episode insane or, I feel a little shiny. Whatever, it's fine. I'm going to Orlando for work for a couple of days, and then the day when I come back, my sister-in-law's flying in, and we're gonna hang out like the rest of the week. And then we're gonna have a bunch of people over at her house next weekend for a movie night, and then I'm gonna be really tired, probably. So there's a lot going on. I don't know how much crochet I'm gonna get done in the next week, hopefully some. I'm gonna start working on this pattern, so I really do let me know if you are interested in this pattern because it's not normal, right? It's a different kind of a shawl. So let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you're working on. Tell me something beautiful that happened in the last 2 weeks, or just tell me what you do when you want to crawl in bed and not come out of the covers. I crochet until my fingers go numb, and that is as healthy as it's gonna get. So be kind to yourself. If you're feeling sad, just reach out to someone. I'm happy to talk. There's plenty of people, especially in the crafting community, that know what it's like and know that crochet and knitting and sewing, that's what calms us down, and that's how we make something beautiful out of lemons when life gives you lemons. So I hope that you have had a wonderful 2 weeks. I hope you'll have a wonderful 2 weeks coming up, and that you have the best time when you're crafting. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you'd like to be kept up to date when any future episodes are posting, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Or if you follow me on Instagram, I will see you like tomorrow.